One decision changed your skull forever. It wasn't hunting.
Before fire, dinner was rough.
Raw meat. Raw plants. Whatever you could rip apart with your teeth. No seasoning. No plates. No, is this done yet? Just chewing. A lot of chewing. This wasn't a rough week for our ancestors. This was millions of years of life. Then something changed. Humans started throwing food into fire on purpose. And that one habit might be the smartest thing our species ever stumbled into. This is the story of when cooking started. And the real reason isn't what you'd think. It's not about taste. It's not really about safety either. It's about something way more basic. Something that literally reshaped your skull. Let's go back. Way back. Before fire, eating wasn't quick. It was work. Some researchers think early humans spent up to 6 hours a day just chewing. Not eating. Chewing. That's basically a part-time job with terrible pay. Here's where it gets weird. Your body isn't built for that anymore. Your gut is shorter than it should be for an animal your size. Scientists think cooking is the reason why. Cooking does something wild. It basically pre-digests your food before it even hits your mouth. Raw food takes forever to break down. Cooked food gets absorbed fast, with barely any effort. And that easier part matters more than you'd guess. It might be the reason you can even read this sentence. Your brain burns through energy like crazy. It uses about 20% of your entire body's fuel, even though it's a tiny part of your body weight. Raw food probably couldn't power a brain that hungry. Not efficiently. Not consistently. Not enough to build everything humans have ever created. So picture this. Somewhere in our ancestry, one group starts cooking regularly. Suddenly, they're getting more energy from the exact same food. That's not a small win. That's an evolutionary jackpot. More energy meant more fuel for the brain instead of just jaw muscles and digestion. Over time, this reshaped our entire skull. Look at an early human skull next to a modern one. Smaller jaw, smaller teeth, bigger brain case. Some scientists, including anthropologist Richard Wrangham, think cooking wasn't just helpful. They think it was required for our brains to grow this large. In other words, your stove is distantly connected to why you can think in complex sentences instead of just chewing all day. So when did this actually start? This is where it gets messy. Fire itself is old, but cooking on purpose is harder to pin down. Evidence from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa points to controlled fire use going back about 1 million years. Burned bones. Ash deep inside the cave, far from any natural fire source. Other clues, like tooth wear and skull shape, suggest cooking might go back even further. Maybe 1.5 to 2 million years, tied to an ancestor called Homo erectus. Here's the fun part. That means we were cooks for way longer than we've even been modern humans. But here's where it gets stranger. Starting a fire and keeping one alive are two very different skills. Early humans probably didn't rub sticks together like a survival show host. Most researchers think they grabbed fire from natural sources first, like lightning strikes. Keeping it alive, though, that took real work. Someone had to feed it, protect it from rain, make sure it never died overnight. That job mattered so much, some anthropologists think firekeeping became one of the first specialized roles in early human groups. meaning some of your ancestors' entire job might have been, don't let the fire go out. No pressure. Once fire became reliable, cooking stopped being occasional. It became a habit. And habits reshape bodies over generations. Smaller jaws worked, since fire already softened the food. Smaller teeth worked, since there was less tough material to grind. And all that extra energy went straight to the brain. This also changed something surprisingly social. Mealtime itself. Chewing raw food for hours isn't exactly a bonding activity. But waiting for food to cook? That brings people together. Some researchers think this shared waiting time helped build early language and social bonds. Groups finally had downtime together, instead of just grinding through raw food alone. So, in a weird way, your family dinner table traces back to a group of early humans sitting by a fire, just waiting for something to stop being raw. And here's the part that never really left us. Humans almost always prefer cooked food over raw food, even when raw is technically safe. Notice how raw needs a very specific context to sound appealing. Sushi? Fine. Raw chicken? That sounds like a hospital visit. That's not just modern food safety instinct. Some researchers think it's a deep evolutionary preference. Our bodies basically expect food to be cooked at this point. Your ancestors didn't just discover cooking. They became dependent on it. So did their bodies, generation after generation, until cooked became the default setting for being human. So next time you're annoyed dinner takes 20 minutes, remember what that 20 minutes actually represents. It's not just a meal. It's the result of over 1 million years of humans learning how to get more from less effort. Smaller jaws, bigger brains, shared meals, even the mild annoyance of waiting on an oven timer. All quiet leftovers of one very old decision. We didn't start cooking because it tasted better. We started cooking because our ancestors accidentally found a shortcut to getting smarter. And once they had it, there was no going back to chewing raw meat for 6 hours a day.